out what unconsciously comes to mind. At first, it felt awkward, artificial, like I was forcing something. But over time, that pause became more and more noticeable. And in that space, something new began to emerge. Not just a different response, but a different identity. A self that wasn't constantly bound to its history. A self capable of creating, not just repeating. Because that's what we forget. Familiarity isn't the same as truth. Just because something feels known, comfortable, or even painful in a recognizable way, doesn't mean it's who we are. Often it's just who we've been. And growth begins when we're willing to act as if that familiarity isn't a prison, but a signal, a chance to do it differently. Neuroscience backs this up. Every time you choose a new thought, a new behavior, you begin weakening the old neural connections and strengthening the new ones. Repetition creates wiring. Awareness creates change. That's not spiritual poetry. It's biological fact. So when I find myself drifting into the known future, I remind myself, the future is not a place I arrive at. It's something I build, choice by choice, thought by thought. And every unfamiliar decision I make is a vote for the person I'm becoming, not the one I've been rehearsing. So much of our identity, what we call ourselves, is made up of patterns, not just behaviors, but expectations. We wake up, go through the motions, and anticipate the same types of feelings, thoughts, outcomes. And if we're not careful, we begin to mistake that predictability for who we really are. But what if that identity isn't fixed? What if it's just a snapshot of who we've been under certain conditions, repeating certain thoughts, surrounded by certain people? And if that's the case, what happens when we disrupt those conditions? When I began consciously interrupting my habits, not with aggression, not with judgment, but with curiosity, I started to feel it, that edge, the edge of the known. It's subtle at first, like stepping out into unfamiliar weather. But it sharpens you. It reminds you you're alive. You start to see yourself differently. Not just as a product of memory or emotion, but as an agent of change. You're not just reacting anymore. You're responding. You're choosing. And that shift, that inner movement toward awareness, feels like power. Real power. Not control over others, or even mastery over every situation, but the power to decide how you show up, who you want to be, not once, but repeatedly, deliberately. It's humbling, honestly. Because when you stop letting the old patterns steer